we are to help us in this process.
All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Welcome. It started. So let's check this out. Listen with me.
So many months worth of work that go into, one selection, let alone the entire weekend. But Dave and his
shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's get this, boy. Press conference is live.
The coaching staff, the contributions that they made. The people that were here before Dave and I got here, the people that came here, after we were hired, really banded together, and I thought did a tremendous job of preparing us in a short time. Your first draft's always a tough challenge, and you're in a kind of a crunch time frame. You're trying to change some things, terminology, change systems on offense, defense, and special teams, and there's some inherent challenges that go along with that. But I thought the attitude and the commitment and the effort that everybody put in was tremendous, and representative of the kind of effort that we're looking for from everybody in the organization. And they did a great job of really putting that forward here in this draft cycle here.
Yeah, I concur with all of that. This was a good first run for us, and just like all first runs, there's things that you learn too, and things that we'll go back and we'll, like we do with every process, we'll go back and look at what went well, what areas we need to improve, and then come up with solutions to the areas that we need to improve. And I'm talking about the whole process, that starts way back in the fall, and that ends up on that finishes up today. And it was a good experience going through it with Josh. Obviously, we've known each other for a long time, but it was a cool experience too to do it together. And we had fun, and we'll see where it goes from here. So
the process started Wednesday, Thursday, didn't start until obviously the second day. But when you look at the beginning and where you're at now,
shout out Dominique 5, Jennifer Chang. Thank you for pulling up. It's the live press conference of the Raiders, you guys, after the draft.
After the fact, based on the original game plan.
Yeah, I'd say based on the original game plan, we feel like things went well, and at the same time, feel like there's going to be things that we're going to want to improve on from a process standpoint, and things that we'll tweak and things that we'll modify. And we haven't even spoke about all those things yet. I mean, we'll kind of, take some time to reflect on it for a few days and go back. But it was solid, and there'll be things that we'll want to get better at the same time.
I think there's an element too of, you stick to your process, and and Dave's laid it out for us, and we've done a good job of going back and forth, discussing who the right people are to take and evaluating all those players. And really, there's no right or wrong at this point. We took the players that we felt were the best players at that position, when we were picking at that time in the draft. And now it's time to work and develop those people. And what we do from here on out will have a lot to do with how we look back on each selection and what we think of it, moving forward.
You guys double dipped at a couple different positions. I think 3 positions, defensive line, offensive line, running back. Was that just a matter of, again, like you guys kind of reiterate, best players available at that particular spot in the draft? Is that kind of how that played out, or more indicative of maybe some needs that were at those groups?
I would say, that's exactly how it played out. Those were the players that at that time we felt were the best available players, and so we took those players. That's the philosophy that we talked about going in, that we wanted to stick to, and that's what we did, and that's where we ended up at those spots.
Where is the discipline, or is there discipline needed to sometimes adhere to that as strictly as you guys tried to adhere to it?
I think once you make the decision to do that, I think really it starts a long time prior to the draft beginning, and understanding what it is you're when you say that, what does it mean? When we take the quote unquote best player, each
Gravy, what's up?
Is going to evaluate these players differently.
Thank you for pulling up.
We're not all going to have the same grades on the same players. We understand that, and we try to do the best we can of evaluating what the player would be for the Raiders.
5, thank you.
It doesn't really matter what they would be for any other team. It's in our system, the way we saw the players, the way we scouted them, the way we evaluated them, the way we would use them. This is the grade that was on that player, and that there's a lot of work that goes into each grade. And so when you trust the work, and then you get to the draft and you say, listen, it's the best thing to do for us is to add the best players we can, and if you understand that from the beginning, the process itself is kind of simplistic. I'm not saying that there's not guys with the same grade and you have to make a choice, but when you really follow it and you say, listen, let's take the best players that we graded, that we thought all year long, gave us the best opportunity to improve our football team. That's what we try to do each step of the way. And, I think we're happy with, look, every spot on our team's going to have competition. Whether we drafted somebody or didn't draft somebody, there's competition at every spot on the team. I don't care what the spot is, and that's what we've tried to do that, in each spot that we could. Free agency, draft, we'll continue to try to do that. Dave and his staff are going to comb the college free agent thing. We're going to go into, the summer, and we're still going to try to do that. So that won't ever stop.
In that same vein, you said you picked players that are the best fit for this team, for this scheme. It just seemed like there was a bit of a theme there. You have 4 linemen who can all play the interior on the defense and the offense, and a couple of running backs.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Hit that like.
That kind of the
subscribe to the channel.
Kind of theme that you saw coming in, or just kind of lay out that way?
Yeah, I don't think it was a theme we saw coming in. That's just kind of how it ended up working out. Those were the players that were saw coming in. That's just kind of how it ended up working out. Those were the players that were available. Just like Josh said, everybody has certain types of players that you look for, right? Every certain teams like a certain style of, whether it be a certain style of running back, a certain style of offensive lineman, defensive lineman, corner, whatever it is. So, those are going to maybe drive in terms of like what we like maybe versus what someone else's values. But at the end of the day, we didn't go in and set out a plan and say, hey, we're going to draft interior linemen and interior, offensive linemen and power running backs. That's how it kind of came together. Those were the players that were there. Those are the players that we felt fit the system, and then we selected them.
System fit.
Take a kid like Samir who's been through so much in his life and adversity. Does that kind of, in your dealings with him, show you how he can take the hardships of, it's not easy to make this league or play in this league, and a kind of kid like that who can fight through things?
Well, I think that one thing that is an attractive trait is when you have people that have went through different transitions in life and have had to go through different adversities in life and have come out the other end and have succeeded. Those are positive traits, whether that's people that we add to our staff or, people that you add to your football team, because this business, right, there's a lot of adversity in this business. There's a lot of ups and downs when it comes to, being a professional athlete or being a coach or just, being in the football business in itself. And so if you've experienced some of those things and you've dealt with them in an appropriate way, and your emotional intelligence, you showed high emotional intelligence to be able to handle those things. I think those are, indicators that you can handle the grind and the ups and downs that come with becoming a professional athlete or working in professional sports.
You guys have been friends for a while anyway, both, in football and all. How much fun was this to run a draft together, or was there stress? Was there kind of like back and forth? How would you describe how these past 3 days were for the two of you?
It was a lot of fun. There was one moment that in particular that, it was our first draft selection. I thought Dave was getting choked up on the phone when he was talking to Dylan. He was actually choking. He was having a hard time. He had something in his throat.
Need my water.
We had a lot of fun. We've tried to do this, though, I would say every day as much as we can with one another and with the people that are in the building. I think people would tell you that that's kind of the atmosphere that we're trying to, create here. And they do a great job of reciprocating it to us. We're not off limits for the fun, but we've always enjoyed working together. And this was a new opportunity, a new challenge, a new event for us that we've never really experienced together in these positions. We've experienced it together, just not doing it this way. But I would say we enjoyed the process leading up to this draft. We enjoyed the people that we've, worked with hand in hand to put this together. And then we enjoyed, the last 3 days. I would say, it's kind of, it's just, these are special events regardless, and so for us to have an opportunity to share this is just one of hopefully many that we get to share together.
M85A. People got to realize Bolden is the only running back under contract after this season. Everybody else is free agents after this year.
Or maybe lights went on or they stepped up their level of play. How important is that in your process of ascending players that are still showing some ceiling along the way and that are ascending in the right direction?
Yeah, it's an important quality that you want to see. You want to draft players that are improving. I mean, everybody's developing, college players, pro players, things of that nature. But obviously, you want to see a college player comes in at 18, 19 years old, and you ideally want to see a player that has gradually improved their body, improved their football intelligence, have improved as players, and have kind of have this upward trajectory. And so having players that have done that, that's an attractive trait. And you want to, you want guys that you can develop and grow. And when they've shown that they've done that at the college level, you have an anticipation you're going to be able to continue to go down that path with them once you get them on your team.
I'm guessing there's players you fall in love with during the whole process. Is it hard to keep that in check? And during this last few days, guys you really liked a lot, but maybe aren't the best player available or aren't the fit, but you guys are really thinking they're going to be big time players going forward.
There's a human element to the draft. We get to meet a lot of players and meet a lot of people as we go through this process, whether they came here, we saw them at the combine, we did some Zoom interviews with them, what have you. And, there's guys you really enjoy, and unfortunately there's, hundreds and hundreds of people that you meet, and, we drafted 6, so there were a couple, when they get taken off the board at times where you're kind of like, maybe he'll be here, maybe he'll not, but I think what you learn is to just, each one of those things happens. And I've always looked at it where, the process you go through for the draft, it doesn't end at the draft if the player goes to some other team, because players' careers a lot of times last 6, 8, 10, 12 years. And we've had many players that, we don't get the draft, but then eventually we get to coach them. And so the work that we put in, the relationships that you start to build during this process, they don't always end right here. You're going to see them, you're going to compete against them, and at some point or other you may cross paths again. So all's not lost. But yeah, there's definitely some feeling, I would say, for some guys for sure, whether that be a skill or a talent or just a sentimental aspect of it.
Hit that like button.
That they've gone
Hit that
through,
like
and
button.
you're
Subscribe
pulling
if you
for 'em and
haven't.
cheering for 'em, and hope they do well.
Was there any, maybe some pleasant surprise that Bayer was still there in the 7th round? Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I know the offensive tackle position in itself is a position, like the supply and demand of that position is it's tough. You look at it in free agency, and it's a tough position to play. And again, there's just not a lot of human beings that have that size, length, athletic skill set to play tackle, and to have a tackle like that was there that played in the Big Ten for Ohio State and played against a lot of good talent. And did a solid job, in those matchups. It was to have a tackle there that had, I'd say that resume was an attractive thing. Now, obviously, he'll have to come in and show what he can do at the professional level. His college career is over. But again, seeing a tackle, that we both had evaluated and thought was obviously a good player, it was good to see.
The fact that he was okay with moving to guard that last year, even though sometimes that might, from your guys' perspective, not look as good because you're looking for a tackle. But what does that tell you about him being able to just be okay with going to guard for his last year, and that's the last tape that he's putting out there?
Well, I think he did whatever was best for the team. And I don't know the exact details of that situation, but we've talked about it before, and I know most teams do. You want to get your best 5 on the field and figure out a way to do that. And the fact that he had the flexibility and the unselfishness to do that, that's a positive trait.
Between free agency and the draft, I think you guys have added more defensive linemen so far this offseason than any other position. Why was that such a high priority position group going into this offseason?
We didn't have many on the roster to start with. So I think part of it was just, where it was, came in and, Hank was unrestricted free agent and Quentin was an unrestricted free agent. There was a lot of opportunity at that position. So I think just the combination of when we came in, what the depth chart looked like initially, and then just trying to take a few swings here, whether it be free agency, and then it happened to happen that way in the draft. Like I said, we're going to need some depth there in camp anyway. We're going to improve the competition at each position that we can. And I think we've put a group in there that'll do that now.
Similar question on the running backs. You guys have a ton on the roster now. Was that
running back question? Jennifer, check this out.
To have going into training camp, have that depth at that position.
I would say running back's just a tough position in the league. those guys take a pounding, and
Listen,
it's a physical position. And, being able to add, young players there to compete, to see if they can find a role. And again, it goes back to what was available, and the best players that were available, when it was our turn to pick. And, there was Amir was there and Britton was there. And so we selected those players. If it would have been, different, if there was other players there, if it would have been, 2 tight ends or 2 receivers that happened to be there, that were our, who we thought were the best available at the time, we would have taken those players too. So it was kind of a product of the way that the board fell. But again, you can never have enough good players at any one position. We've talked about it from the beginning. We want to build depth and competition. That's going to be a very important part of this program.
yes.
And it was an opportunity
Yes.
to take some swings and add 2 good players that happen to be at the running back position.
Yeah, most
Yes,
camps we're
indeed.
going to have at minimum 6 and probably more likely 7 at that position.
But
anyway.
was Pierre Strong
It just
really
so
high on
happens
their
that we'll
list
kinda add
compared
that
to what
number.
they
So
got?
we're-
That's the key.
We're
What was-
working towards what we're going to eventually need anyhow. And,
What did they
positions
board
are a
look
little
like
bit
at
of a
running
different
back?
stage in terms of
That's what we got to
finalizing it, but
understand.
The backs are
Not what we
it's one
like,
of
but
many
what
that
did
we're
they
gonna have
like?
to, figure out how to, fill it out as we go towards training camp here.
Dave, I'll tread lightly to piggyback on that question with respect to what you said yesterday about the 5th-year option guys, because you said you weren't going to comment, but I was going to ask about the running backs.
Here's about not picking up the 5th-year option on Cleveland Farrell, Abrams, Josh Jacobs.
Does that mean that
See
the
what they
running
say.
backs it's up for grabs at this point, and it's anybody's job as far as the number one?
No, I think what we look at when we evaluate every position, again, is there's the way that we look at all positions. There's different roles to be filled. You have sub running backs, you have change of pace running backs, you have first and second down running backs, and so
Hear what they
there's going to
saying?
be different roles to fill.
Different
throughout
roles to
that
fill.
position group.
That's how they draft you.
You could look at defensive tackle. You're going to have guys that play in sub, guys that play in base. Same thing at linebacker, so on and so forth. So there's different roles, and there's going to be competition for those roles. And so, however that ends up filling out, it fills out. And we have a lot of talented players there, and so we always want everybody to compete. Everybody, we want to have that mentality that they're competing for a spot and are motivated to compete for playing time and things of that nature. And running back will be no different.
Before the draft, you talked about, the offensive line being a developmental position. You noted the resume that Thayer's got. Parham also a 4-year starter. How much did that play into it, just the experience that those guys have, selecting them?
Yeah, well, I think, when you have players that have a lot of experience, there's a lot of tape to see. You can see that progression and you can see that development that we talked about. And so I wouldn't say it's like something like specifically that's like, okay, these guys have started this amount of time and that makes them more valuable. But what you do see oftentimes at the college level is guys get to move around and play different spots,
Different position,
over their time, the longer that they're there, because the college, you're bringing different recruits in, and again, you're trying to get the best 5 on the field. So a guy ends up playing tackle for a certain amount of time, and he plays guard, then he plays center. Munford played tackle and played guard. So I think the longer you're there, what's naturally happening a lot of times in college is you're getting an opportunity to see players play at different spots. And again, we've talked about versatility at that position being important. And so, we are able to see that on those players. And again, that versatility is an important trait.
Going back to Josh's opening comments, you guys jumped in here in January and had to meld together a bunch of different people and philosophies and all that with no time to spare. How seamless was that process? And were you pretty pleased at how that all kind of played out?
It wasn't seamless in terms of just getting everything the way that you want it, but I would say that the part that was seamless for us was, I'd say, the effort and the attitude that everybody had coming in here every day, trying to get it right, and that's all we can ask of anybody, of ourselves, of each other. And so I think we're very pleased with kind of the direction we're headed in that regard. And now, like Dave said, it's going to take us a little time to reflect, take some time to think about each step of the way, and then take those ideas and thoughts together and try to figure out, all right, what can we do next year to make it? We've already talked about a few things today, in the draft room, just, minute things, but it's part of the process in terms of trying to improve our process, as we go into the draft season next year. And we're going to try to do that every step of the way. And, phase 2 will be the next phase, and we'll do the same thing when we finish phase 2.
Going back to Zamir, what excites you about him as a prospect, and why you guys took him?
He's played against a real high level of competition. He's a physical, tough downhill runner. He's got burst and speed, and he'll be physical and blitz pickup. They didn't throw him the ball a ton, but he's got adequate ability in the passing game. But just a tough kid who's, as Dave's already mentioned, overcomes some adversity. Has really made a tremendous career for himself at Georgia, overcoming what he had to overcome, and he's going to bring some skills into that running back room, and know he's going to compete his butt off and try to earn whatever role he can. But I also know he's an unselfish kid with a great attitude and loves football, and whatever we ask him to do, I'm sure he's going to do it with a great mindset and great work ethic, and looking forward to seeing him here when he gets here.
Two more, we'll go with it and Paul.
Josh, at your introductory press conference, you were asked about the difference between your first stint as a head coach now, and you're talking about a lot of the lessons that you had learned or matured and grew as a coach. Curious how you went into this draft process. Did you think about back then, and did you take some lessons learned into this?
Yeah, I've thought about it every step of the way here. And I'd say, a big part of that for me is just, I'm just part of the process, and we all are. And so, accepting what's my role in that process and try to do the best I can. And then having great trust and faith in the people that are responsible for other things. Dave headed up the entire process in the draft.
See, there's a lot going into the way that they're drafted.
Whatever I'm responsible for, try to do the best I can at that role. And really, I'm, like I said, I'm no different than anybody else. And
they only had 3 months from January to now.
Sharing in it with other people and letting them do their job has been great for me. This whole spring has been a growth opportunity.
So go ahead
for me,
and
just
get
to try to put some of those things that I've learned over time.
A blueprint of how they're going to draft.
Coach, and,
but
I'll continue to do that.
There's multiple factors in what in a player that they chose was more important to draft.
Make a couple trades and get that extra pick.
Yeah, we talked.
Versatility, I'm noticing, is what they mainly
focused
focused on.
The extra 5th round pick, and we thought that was going to give us some flexibility. It was either going to give us another swing, in the 5th round, or give us some flexibility to move around the board. And so it ended up, we were able to use that extra pick and have some flexibility to get back into the 4th round. And those are exciting opportunities, when you feel like you've manufactured, an opportunity to, again, improve the team or go get a player that you want. And overall, it was a cool experience. It was a lot of fun to get in there and have an opportunity to be with Josh and kind of head it up together.
This is your first time here. Subscribe and hit like.
Make some trades and again, add some players that you were excited to add. So overall, it was cool to go through it. We'll improve it, but we had a lot of fun.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you in a few weeks.
See you.
All right. So that was the news conference, you guys. As you can see, if you listen to what they were saying, they basically were looking at potential draft picks by their versatility. I heard that with the running backs. I heard that with the offensive linemen. That is one thing that is current and constant in what they were saying. Running back situation. A lot of people asking why the Raiders went out there and drafted White from Georgia and Brown from UCLA. And what a lot of people don't understand, as far as us as fans, and I'm including me with y'all, on the outside looking in, we're like, why are you getting these 2 running backs and we got running backs? Here's the thing that a lot of people don't really realize or understand is the fact that after this year, there is only 1 running back under contract. Listen to me again. Brandon Bolden is the only running back that is returning next year. Everybody else is free agents. So, with that being said, the running backs that are free agents, if they choose to go to another team, they can go to another team. If they want to stay here, they can stop. They can negotiate. But like they said, like what Ziegler was saying about the White out of Georgia, he's willing to come in here compete and do what he's asked of. They said he wasn't too much implemented into the passing game, but the ability is there. But he can block. He runs hard. You know what I mean? He's willing to do what he has to do for the team. That is the type of player you want on this roster. So that's what they went out and got. You know what I mean? Then you got other people like the off. Matter of fact, the tackles. There's the one tackle is, to me, in my eyes, is more of a let's see. His motor, I would put there with Max Crosby. So now you got a Max Crosby type motor at defensive tackle. And I'm speaking of the tackle that they were mentioning and breaking down his ability was was it the nose tackle dude or the dude out of Tennessee? One of, I forgot which one they were speaking on, but they were saying his motor, that he only had 5 sacks last year, but a lot of them came because he never quit on the play. Now we see how Crosby gets down with a motor like that. So now we get a defensive tackle that can do the same, along with Chandler Jones. Now you got a 3-technique defensive tackle and a nose tackle. That's set. Offensive lineman. The thing that they said about the offensive line was that they wanted the players on the offensive line to be interchangeable. They want to be cross-trained, which means you're not just going to play tackle, guard, center, but you're going to be able to play all the positions. You know what I mean? And that makes sense because there's a lot of injuries that happens in the trenches. Where was Incognito last year? Injury. You know what I mean? They went and got Leatherwood, but not this regime. This regime didn't. So now Leatherwood is a piece in the competition part of making this team. So that's good. They said they want competition throughout the whole team. They want competition, and you're going to end up with the best players after you have a competition. Players going to go at it. They want the starting job. The best man gets the damn job. Next man in line, you fit into the rotation. You're a depth piece, but you still are important as a starter, because if a starter goes down, then what? What, you gonna sniff around the free agency market to try to get someone to come in and play, or someone that you brought in already and groom them, or in the process of grooming them to be better than they were in college, to be able to add to what we're doing, to fit our system? It's a system fit. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, I understand, and I was one of them, like, why are we taking this person or that person? But when you listen to what their whole philosophy was, it makes sense. And I said this for a long time. Whatever Ziegler and McDaniels and Champ Kelly and whoever else is involved in drafting, whatever choices they make, just as long as it makes sense, I'm fine with it. It doesn't have to be the grand slam, you know what I mean, or the in the park home run, you know what I mean? But you have to make a move in a selection in the draft that makes sense. And this is what I say. Don't look at who the players were. Look at what positions they end up getting. We got 2 defensive tackles. Did we need a defensive tackle? Hell yeah. 2 offensive linemen. Did we need offensive linemen? Hell yeah. You feel me? See where I'm going with this? Running back, a lot of people just look at what we have. But after this year, we have none but one. So they're thinking long term. They're playing chess, not checkers. They're playing chess. What if, since we didn't pick up the 5th year on Josh Jacobs, what if Josh Jacobs get a better offer from Carolina or Pittsburgh or Atlanta or the Chargers? You think he ain't going to take it? Come on now. You think he's not going to take it? It's a bidding war when he's a free agent. But the reason they did not pick up the 5th year on him is prove to us what you're doing. Prove to us your worth, and we will bread you. You know what I mean? We will break bread if you prove your worth. But he can't just automatically get into a situation where he's giving the starting position. Now he has to bust his ass. So don't be surprised if Josh Jacobs get over 1,000 yards rushing this year. That's what kind of position the great players get pushed into, a position of being great. You know what I mean? The good players. The good players get pushed into position and they become great. Taking away the 5th-year option means now you got to earn your bag. Not only with us, if you decide to walk, you still got to earn your bag with the next team. You can't come out there and lay a goose egg in a season that's a contract year and you only get like 400 yards rushing, injuries plague your whole season. Ain't no team going to pay for that shit. You feel me? So you got to get out there and actually perform. So now with that being said, if you don't perform or if you choose to go elsewhere, we got guys on the team now that we got in the draft that can come right in, that knows the system, and we got them for the next 4 years. Simple. Simple. You have to protect everything, that every asset you have, you got to protect it. You know what I mean? Derek Carr is a commodity that the Raiders decided was something that you invest in. And what do you do with any investment? You have to protect your investment. He went out and got offensive linemen that can play multiple positions up and down the offensive line. You gave Carr Adams. He has Renfro, Waller. You know what I mean? Edwards. He has weapons. But weapons don't mean nothing if you cannot keep the quarterback upright. You must keep the quarterback upright and clean in the pocket for him to make the plays to his playmakers. You see what I mean? Carr is not the playmaker. Our playmakers are on the field for Carr to target. But you have to keep him clean. You got to give him a good pocket for him to sit there, go through his reads, and hit the man that he needs to hit in that fucking play. Plain and simple. I know you guys agree. It is what it is. There's some questionable picks, but like I said, they're only questionable from the outside looking in. We don't know how the war room was set up. We did not see their draft board and see how they had players ranked as far as value in what rounds, but we're just assessing as fans because we're all fans. We might have differences of opinions, but this is our team. You're allowed to have your opinion. That's dope because you figure, I bet you there was differences of opinions in the war room. I bet you they didn't all agree on the same thing, but towards the end when they started, okay, let's do that then. And that's what teams do. We are a team. This team is they have a strategy and they're going to go ahead and implement it. I'm satisfied. You know what I mean? And what I mean by satisfied is I like the fact that we have competition on this team, on this roster. Now let's let them compete. Let them compete. Y'all talk bad about the running back from UCLA. What if he's a dog? What if he get out there and it's like, oh shit. Now you figure, look at him behind the offensive line that we went out and grabbed a couple of pieces to add to. Now look at him in an offense, the running back, mind you, whether it's dude from Georgia, White, or Brown from UCLA, look at them in this offense with the offensive line that they went in and grabbed a couple of more players to, but look at our passing game. Who was going to want to stack the box against our run game with the receivers we have? Who's dumb enough to do that shit? You're going to take away a double team from Adams or Renfro or Waller just so you can stop the run? And if you decide to stack the box and stop the run, what corner is going to get beat man to man from our receivers? You see what I mean? We're developing a situation where for any defense that face our offense is damned if you do, damned if you don't. Damned if you stack the box and stop the run, and damned if you don't do it. We're going to make you have to make a choice, and it's going to be split second. Once you see these running backs, we got a committee of running backs now. Fullback, you know what I mean? We have wide receivers, tight ends, offensive linemen. Every level of our offense is set. All we need to do now is let them compete and get the best man for the job. Put the best 11 out there on the offense. Now, I know some people don't like Carr. Some people do like Carr. But no matter if you like him or love him or hate him, he's still the Raiders quarterback. And in order for our quarterback to succeed, you give him everything he needs to succeed. Protection and weapons. And he has that. If Carr does not succeed this year in this offense with what he has with McDaniels and the receiving core and the running back core and the offensive line, hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no. You feel me? Now you have to get out there and produce. But if Carr comes out there and busts these motherfuckers, whoops, I don't want to get too, you know what I mean? Let's keep this clean, right? Well, a little bit clean. I cuss like a sailor, y'all. But anyway, if Carr comes out there and goes over 5,000 yards passing, over 30 touchdowns, and single digit in interceptions, and we make the playoffs and get past the first round, what would you say? You can't deny it. I don't want to hear people say, oh, Carr only succeeded because that's what front offices do for their offensive star. Yes, Carr is the offensive star. He's the one delivering the ball to the weapons on the offense. So you must keep him upright, and you must be able to give him time to make the right read and pass the ball to our weapons, and you let them make the big plays. They are the playmakers. Carr just delivers the ball. But we're on the right track. I'm telling you this. Are we any worse off than we were last year, a playoff team? 10 wins? Do you not think we can get at least 10 wins again? Or do you think that we can improve on that by the additions, not just draft additions, free agent additions? And the next thing I'm going to check out, you guys, I want to look at the undrafted. You know what? Let's go ahead and let's start paying attention to these undrafteds, because there's names on that damn board that did not go in the 7th round that is still there. Now, I don't like to gamble on free agencies or on undrafted free agents because they get the choice. And I've seen bidding wars happen before. I've seen players change their mind after they agreed to sign them with this team, but then go elsewhere. I've seen it happen. So draft picks are used on players to lock them in. I know some people, one of them 7th round picks was an extra pick for trading back. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But if you guys know anything that's going on, shout out to Jennifer, man. Thank you for pulling up. And I'm trying to catch up on all the on all you guys' chats in here. Yes, indeed, for real. Jennifer M85, thank you for pulling up. Jennifer says Jacobs is a top 5 running back in the NFL. Okay, he's top 5. But what if Jacobs decide after this year to walk? Then what we got? We didn't trade him. So obviously, we're not trying to get rid of him. We just didn't offer the 5th-year option, which forces a player to ball out. See, a lot of people don't get it misconstrued. Don't get upset the fact that we're not giving 5th-year options out. 5th-year options are deserving of players with hella production that makes their value like, okay, he deserves to be here. Let's give him the 5th year, and then we'll work on the extension next year. See, it doesn't mean that Jacobs is out of here. If he was out of here, we could have traded him I'm pretty sure we could have added him with a pick and moved up, you know what I mean, and got extra picks. We could have did all that shit. But they did not do that. Jacobs is not going anywhere. Jacobs is a Raider. As of now, he's under contract. Now it's up to Jacobs to go prove. Jennifer, if you think Jacobs is a top 5 running back, then let Jacobs prove that shit. That's it. Ain't nothing to be upset about or wondering what they're doing. Let Jacobs be the one to determine his future with the team. Let him go ball out. And I believe he can. Jacobs is a beast. Long as he stays healthy, as long as they build an offensive line to open those holes, and they did that with 2 of their picks. See, Jacobs ain't the only one. Like I said, these other running backs that they drafted ain't the only ones going behind this offensive line. Hell, dude from UCLA might not even make the team. He's a 7th round pick. There's no guaranteed money. You know what I mean? Bye if he doesn't make it. But they drafted someone that they think has a chance of competing and being depth. We need depth because, as you know, Jacobs does not stay healthy the whole season long. So Kenyon Drake, he got hurt last year. So behind them 2, what did we have? Thank God that one injury came before the others with Drake and Jacobs. But what if they were to happen at the same time? Richard, we was going to rely on Richard 30 carries a game for the rest of the season? No. Because if he go down, then what? That's it. You gotta have your depth, man. It is what it is. It's nothing to be upset about. Let's wait till camp opens. Let them compete. Let's hear what they and in camp. You really can't be sold on what you hear in camp because camp and live action games are two different things. Two different things. It's like reading a manual on how to drive a stick shift and actually getting your ass in the car and driving a stick shift. It ain't the same until you actually get out there. So let's let these guys get out there and perform. I'm telling you, Ziegler, McDaniels, and Champ Kelly, they had a board. I don't know how they crafted their board as far as the value of players. Like they said, they didn't care what position it was. This is what they had on there as value. If the running backs were there, that's who they took. Some people I see, they said we should have took Strong. Okay, I can understand that. But that's us saying that. But what did Ziegler and McDaniels and them see? What was the value in White and Brown that they seen could have been over Strong? What's Strong's weaknesses? You know what I mean? As far as what our offense is expecting out of the running back. And the one thing I heard him say with White when they drafted White was the fact that White, I have to call him back in a minute. White had, man, White, when White was drafted, the way they spoke of him was that he can block, he's a hard runner, he's willing to do whatever you ask him to do for the team, and that he may not have been implemented into the run game in Georgia a lot, but the ability is there. And the reason why we got the coaches we have is to coach up the talent we get. So if you got trust in the front office and our coaches, then why is there any kind of worries of who we draft? You know what I mean? Now, if we would have drafted these two offensive linemen and Cable was still here, then hey, I'm out there marching in front of headquarters in Henderson with a sign saying, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? I'm out there with y'all. For real, for real. Shout out to everybody that's pulling up, man. Chronicles of the Black Hole. Thank you for pulling up. Yes, exactly. It is the undrafted free agent scramble. And I'm telling you, I'm curious to see whose attention we have and who's willing to come sign with us. Because the one thing with the undrafted is there's multiple teams in their ear. And they're all going to give them offers on financial, you know what I mean? On financials. And it's like, they're going to take the best opportunity for them. Are we a destination that an undrafted will want to come to, and what kind of money do we have to deal with? We have money. There's a few. I mean, you don't have to have a lot for undrafted. We're talking about like players that's going to probably be on, if they do make the team practice squad, you could probably call them up when you need them. But nothing dramatic, nothing that's going to be shifting of the needle in the direction that this organization goes, but they can still add their talents and to a team that's going to need depth competition. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with it. Let's see what they can do though. Let's see what undrafteds we grab. You feel me? That's the thing. I'm really interested in knowing that, man. For real, for real. Yes, we passed on a quarterback. You know what I mean? We passed on a quarterback. Because we have our quarterback. You're not going to give a quarterback an extension unless he's your quarterback. That's why they went out and made the investment in the offensive line by giving Carr protection. You must protect your investment. And they invested, $141 million in Carr? And I know some people that don't like Carr like, well, we can release him after next year. Then what? You release him if he doesn't produce, then he deserves to go ahead and we gave you everything. We gave you a running game. We gave you receivers. We gave you an offensive line. We built a good defense. But yet, what? But see, that's on Carr. Let Carr go out there and prove. Let's prove. You know what I mean? Every other good quarterback in the league, you can't tell me one good quarterback that sat there and didn't have an offensive line, didn't have any weapons or a run game, and expect them to produce at a high level. There's no quarterback you can name. None. Even mediocre ass quarterbacks win Super Bowls with a defense, a run game, offensive line, and offensive weapons. I seen it happen in Baltimore. I seen it happen in Tampa Bay. They got rings with a mediocre ass quarterback, but everything around them was built and put into place for them to succeed. Why Carr doesn't deserve that? Huh? That's the only thing. Like I said, I'm neither a Kardashian or a Kardashian, but he's a Raider. And if you're suited up on my team, I want the best for you. I want the team to provide you with the best to succeed, to get us that championship trophy, that Lombardi trophy, get those rings. That's what I want. But for someone to want a player to fail just so you can say, I told you so, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I don't care if you hate him or love him. I'm speaking of any player on this team. If you're behind a player to fail on our team, this is your team, and you want him to fail just to prove your point, kick rocks. Kick rocks. It is what it is. I don't give a fuck if you don't have to subscribe here. Like I said, I'm not out there waving flags for Carr, and I'm not out there down on him either. But as long as he's wearing that fucking silver and black, guarantee you, I want him to succeed. And then if I have to have him succeed by giving him an offensive line, weapons, defense, good coaches, good front office, then so be it. You're getting that shit. But if you prove me wrong, if you prove that you're not that good, even with everything they give you, then you got to kick rocks. See, I'm fair with this shit. I'm not all up in his asshole, kissing him. You know what I mean? I'm not hating him. Oh, I hate the kind of coffee he drink. I'm not no hater like that. He's a Raider. I don't give a damn. I wanted Jamarcus Russell to succeed, and we seen what happened. But if he would have put in the effort with the God-given abilities he had, come on now. Jamarcus had a hell of an arm. He just didn't have the fucking mind and the heart to match. That's all that was. But he had everything God gave him, and he fucked it off. So he gone. Carr got the mindset. He has the determination. He has the intestinal fortitude to succeed in the NFL, and his numbers prove it. He does not have everything. And now if I hear a hater say, well, Carr got everything now, let's see what he do. So you saying that is saying that he didn't have shit before, right? That's what you're saying. You saying since he has everything now, he better succeed. And I agree. But that's also admitting he didn't have everything he needed before. But yet, he put up numbers. Like I said, Super Bowls is a team stat. Super Bowl, it ain't a quarterback stat. It ain't a running back stat. It ain't a wide receiver stat, an offensive lineman. It is a team stat. Carr only can do his personal stats. Throwing yards, touchdowns, interceptions, fumbles. We factor in the negative and the positive to really gauge this dude's career. If you give him everything he can, everything he needs, there is nothing we can do, nothing we can say if he underperform. I can't say nothing. I agree with the haters, but I'm not pushing for his failure just to prove my point. That's not going to happen. But I mean, with that being, you know what I mean? Tongue twisters and shit. But yeah, man, that was the press conference. We discussing just the Raiders. We love this team. Each and every one of you do. It doesn't matter if you like Carr, if you hate Carr, but don't wish failure on any of our players just so you can be right. That's all I'm asking. You have the right to not like certain players. That's okay. But I don't see the benefit in wanting someone to fail just so you can look right. I told you he wasn't shit. No. Hope that this man does good with the weapons that they gave him. That's all you got to do. If he doesn't do good, hey, more power to you. You have all the right to talk shit. For real. And you can come on this channel and talk shit. I'm not going to block you, and I ain't going to censor you. You want to talk shit about shit? Hey, bring that shit on. Bring it on. It's all love. Shout out to everybody that's out there in the chat. 2 red rings in the house. You know what I mean? Kenyon Drake's contract. Kenyon Drake is a free agent after this coming season. 2 red rings. Here's the whole landscape of what's going on with the running back position. After this season, Brandon Bolden is the only running back under contract. Now you understand why we drafted 2 running backs. Nobody is under contract on this team at running back position but 1 running back. And Brandon Bolden is 32 years old. Come on, bruh. We had to go grab somebody. But it don't matter what running back you have if your offensive line is shot. So they went out and grabbed 2 offensive linemen. Go ahead and handle their business with running back. Let them compete. Let's see if they can earn a spot on this roster. That's it. Hell, they traded back and got an extra 7. So that's like a free pick. They used it on a running back. Can't be mad at that. It ain't like they used the number 1 pick on Brown from UCLA or a 2nd round pick from White from Georgia. They didn't do that shit. We getting all up in arms over who we drafted then. What was the value of that pick? What do they bring to this team? Do they fit our system? What do they add to what we're trying to do? That's all we have to worry. Let Ziegler and them do their thing. Long as it ain't Gruden and Mayock making sacrificial picks, you know what I mean, that sometimes they pan out, sometimes they don't. They did better in the later rounds, but that first round, I'm kind of glad we didn't have a first and a second to fuck up. You know what I mean? Just so we wouldn't fuck up. And I think we're solid. Okay, let's hear this from you guys. Don't look at the name of the players we picked. Look at the position. Did the position of these picks that we made this year, did they make sense? Were these positions of need? Offensive line, defensive line, running back, did those picks make sense? And when I say running back, see, we can't look at who we have now. Look at who's gone after this year. All our running backs are free agent but 1. So with that in mind, did the running backs we make, the 2 running backs we picked, do they make sense? And that's all I ever agree with Ziegler and them. As long as the moves they make sense, I'm fine with it. Long as it's not outlandish. We didn't take the 3rd pick and draft a kicker. We didn't take the 3rd pick and draft the number 1 receiver because we got that. But we went out there and grabbed the best available at a position of need, and they did it. So now all we got to do is sit back as fans, let these dudes compete, and see who is the cream that rises to the top. That's all we got to do. We don't have to do shit but cheer them on. The players that got drafted, they have to go out there and prove their worth. Josh Jacobs, prove your worth. Cleveland Farrell, prove your worth. You know what I mean? Abram, prove your worth. That's all you got to do. You're in control of your own destiny. Plain and simple. You guys that the 5th option did not get picked up, you guys have control of your own destiny. Get out there this year and ball the fuck out. Ball the fuck out. I don't give a damn if your bag is with us or if the bag after the season is with another team. You go earn that bag because we're going to benefit from it. If you ball this year, we're going to benefit from you balling this year. Now, you might not stay, you might go. But we're going to benefit from it. The team, the Raiders, will benefit from you balling out this year because your back is against the wall. Now, with your back against the wall, are you going to curl out and fold and quit and retreat? Or are you going to stand there with your chin up and your chest out and take it head on and grab that motherfucking position and make it yours? Are you going to make the running back position yours, Josh Jacobs? Cleveland Farrell, are you going to grab a defensive line spot and make it yours? Abram, are you going to grab the safety position that you now have and make it yours? You only got 1 year to do it. You're not comfortable being a first-round pick with a 5th-year option on your contract because that shit is done. That shit's gone. Now you got to get out there and bust some ass. Plain and simple. Get out there and bust your ass, earn your spot on this team and the bag, and also at the same time doing that, help this team get along into the playoffs and get past the first round and actually be a contender for the Lombardi Trophy. That's all you guys got to do. That's it. That's it. So with that being said, man, shout out to everybody out there, man. You said trade Carr to Dallas for Prescott. It's a win-win for both sides. How's it a win-win? What, both teams still going to lose in the first round? Because that's what Dak Prescott did. Look at his weapon. They went out and gave Dak Prescott everything. He has a run game, offensive line, offensive weapons, defense, in a weak-ass NFC division, and got put out in the first round. What Dak gonna do? Dak is making more money than Carr. What Dak gonna do? Come on now. I understand the hate of Carr, but sometimes, man, sometimes the hate just don't make sense with what you want from that hate. You know what I mean? Like, are you serious? Trade Carr for Dak Prescott. It's a win-win. They ain't winning shit in the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's a lose-lose. You might as well keep what you got and build around them. Dak has everything around him. Everything. Dak has everything in Dallas. In a weak-ass Washington, New York Giants, Philadelphia division. And still have no wins in the playoffs to prove. Come on now. Come on, Jennifer. Jennifer, you stop. You stop it. You stop it right now, damn it. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, they're going to Raider Two-Face in the house. Yes, every pig has solid roots to grow. Let our coaches develop these guys. If they can't be developed by the coaches we have, kick rocks. You get cut. Like I said, we only need 53. So any of you draft picks that do not pan out, just because you got drafted don't mean you're guaranteed a spot on the team. That is not going to happen. It's not going to happen, for real. Yes, indeed. I'd like to thank everybody out there. Jennifer, man, thank you for pulling up. M85, thank you for pulling up. And Jennifer, you're more than welcome to always come back, feedback. It doesn't matter if I agree with it or not. We're all Raider Nation. You feel me? Once we understand that we're all one and we can have differences of opinions, it's debating. We're not arguing, we're debating. But feel free to always come back. As a matter of fact, tonight I will be going live at 11. We're going to have a round table. We're going to discuss the picks the Raiders make. Did it make sense? Did it not make sense? Who they should have gotten? We're going to discuss all that tonight. So come back. Raiders Allegiance, 11 o'clock tonight, hosted by yours truly, Lunatic Raider. I'd like to thank everybody out there that's pulled up on me, man. I appreciate every one of you guys. Every one of you guys is part of the nation. It doesn't matter your opinion. It doesn't matter the comments you make. You guys are more than welcome to come. I like being amongst my peers. You are my peers. We are equals. Like I always say, without you, there's no me. And without us, there's no nation. There's only one nation. You feel me? So thank everybody out there, man. Dominique 5. Oh, my God. The list goes on. Raider Two-Face. Thank you for pulling up. Jennifer Chang, thank you for pulling up, sweetheart. For real. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And I thank you. I thank you once again. And if this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button and knock the hell out of the notification bell so you can be notified of all the content I release, even breaking news. Once again, you've been watching Raiders Allegiance. Your host with the most, Lunatic Raider. I invite you guys back at 11 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 o'clock a.m. Eastern. Please come on back. I'm going to have guests on here. We're going to discuss the draft, discuss the moves we made, what we could have done, what we should have done, and what we did. So with that being said, man, thank each and every one of you. I'm so blessed to have you guys here hanging out with me with this press conference. Thank you. But once again, Raiders Allegiance, Lunatic Raider. I'm out.